Hello, 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 everybody. How is it going out there? Yeah, we are back. RCS is back with another webinar. And this one's actually fun. So this is one of those things that Jeffrey hit upon, this idea of interactive displays. You know what? Hang on one second. Let me give a little intro. Okay, firstly, who are we? We're RCS. And we are an MSP here in New York and Atlanta, and we have clients on the West Coast, and basically we can service you all around. Yeah, we do a whole bunch of IT work for a whole bunch of companies, and it's always interesting, always learning. And today we're going to be learning about interactive displays. So you're going to hear from Cody from Smart Technologies. So let me get to this interactive display thing for a second, because Jeff found this thing. In fact, let's bring Jeff on.
Hey, how you doing, Norman?
Hey, Jeff. Welcome.
Thanks for putting this all together. Yeah. Yes, I'm Jeffrey Tebele, the founder of RCS Professional Services. As Norman mentioned, we've been around since 1999, offices in New York and Atlanta, Georgia. And we're IT managed service provider servicing clients across the country. And yeah, one of the things that we've been noticing since COVID is obviously everyone knows the importance of video conferencing, which mostly happens from in front of people's computers, but a lot of it happens in boardrooms and conference rooms. And we've been having a lot of activity in the way of physical setups in small rooms, large rooms, boardrooms, conference rooms. And, we're really always trying to find the right tech for the room. You want the mics to work. You want the audio to be sound and crisp. You want the people that you're speaking to on the other end to hear you. And you also want to be able to present and collaborate in efficient and effective ways that just provide a better meeting experience. And one of the ways that we've run into doing that is with interactive whiteboards and displays. And we're starting to really love it. And we're offering it to all of our clients anytime there's boardroom or conference room conversation. So when I speak of smart boards, I kind of see it as like the Q-tip or the Kleenex of the industry, right? Like when someone says smart board, that's the name of the company, Smart Technologies. They kind of invented it, and we're gracious to be partners with them. And we're going to be bringing you a product specialist from their company. His name is Cody, but I don't want to steal the show, Norman. What were you going to say, or what did you have in mind for me to bring up?
I was going to say, so Jeff said, why don't we take a look at this? So Cody gave us a presentation, and I remember we got off the presentation, and Chloe and I called each other and said, wow, he's really good at presenting. First thing we said, I was like, wow, he's really good at presenting. Not only is that a great piece of technology, but Cody's really good at this. So let's bring him on. Because
bring him on, Cody. Cody, happy to see you, man. Let's talk about the housekeeping. That's important, Norman. Could you go over the?
Oh yes. No, I haven't. So, you want to do it? Go.
Okay, so Alex, who's in the background, our marketing coordinator, she'll be putting in the LinkedIn messages or however you're joining a link to join this presentation, webinar, whatever you want to call it, where you could just jump on and you could ask any questions. Cody's here. He's the product specialist. He's going to introduce himself. This stuff is pretty cool. We love talking about it, seeing it in rooms, having success with it. So feel free to ask questions because it's very intriguing if you're nerdy like us. So just the only thing is if you do join, I think you want to lower the volume on your LinkedIn browser or however you're joining, because then it's going to have all sorts of background noise. Did I get that right, Norman?
Yes, exactly. So yeah, you too can be part of this webinar. You can either throw some questions in the chat, or you can come on and ask your question live, and that's always fun. So yeah, Alex is going to be throwing a link in the chat. Click on that link, you'll be able to come on. Woohoo! Okay, now on to Cody. Cody, introduce yourself, please.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. I'm flattered from the start. My name is Cody Goertzen. I am the Senior Area Specialist for the East Coast of the United States for Smart Technologies. Honestly, guys, you nailed it. Smart has become synonymous, very similar to that Kleenex or that Q-tip in that space. We started in about 1983, I believe, in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. If you're familiar with Canadian geography, it is straight north of Montana, and that's actually where I'm located in that space as well. Smart displays or interactive displays is the bread and butter of smart technologies. Today, I'm going to be diving into the QX display, so one right behind me. It's our built for business display. It can be that full conferencing system that you're looking for. It's got a 8-point microphone array sitting at the top. It's got two 20-watt speakers that are front facing here at the bottom, as well as a 15-watt sub that's included with this display as well. And you may ask, Cody, if it's a full conference room display, where's the camera? Well, it's a great question. Don't worry, I'll ask it myself. Normally, it would come and actually sit right here on top of the display, but I've actually dismounted it so I can have it face me during this conversation. So you know exactly the quality and the confidence you have when it comes to the equipment that Smart is producing and working with. Smart displays from our Android operating system that you're seeing right behind me, or as we call it, our IQ, is built by Smart. And I have the ability to host not only Teams meetings, but Zoom meetings from my display. I can have WebEx meetings right from my display, using that full system integrated for your convenience, depending on what you may want to jump into from those Teams meetings to Zoom meetings. Because let's be honest, we all have clients and we all work with members that one works Teams, one goes on Zoom, one's jumping in WebEx, and we need that flexibility to jump between product A or from option A to option B to option C. That is something that Smart can do for you right from the one display here. You'll also notice in the top left here, I got PowerPoint, I got Excel, I got Word, I got OneNote. That is the flexibility of being able to walk up, jump into a PowerPoint, and actually begin presenting right from my display as well. So whether I'm hosting a webinar such as today, whether I'm part of a business meeting that I need to have my Teams call and I'm sharing my screen, I have this flexibility. I can even grab my pen as I'm working still in this Android space to have my notes as we're going through, and my poor penmanship aside, still be able to transition and move through the different displays. So as I mentioned, I'm actually on the QX display sitting right here in the middle, as well as we have our MX and our GX displays. MX display, it's really our middle of the rung option. It's a great display to add into a conference room that say you have a Logitech Rally Bar, or you're working within the Polycam systems, or even an Owl. The MX display can be a great addition to your already existing space to make those meetings so much more interactive and so much more engaging from that side. Not only that though, moving into my GX, as I mentioned earlier, that is a display I've seen so much success in, to where I've had customer conversations where they have a whiteboard and they have a TV, and they want to build something that's a little bit more engaging, have a little bit more of a conversation in that room versus everyone sits at their computer, kind of glazes over as we were going through the 14 slides, as we're writing these notes to go for lunch and come back, and suddenly the notes have been erased because someone booked the room between us. Not something you got to worry about, because on that GX, whether I'm jumping in the whiteboard or I'm walking up and connecting into my PC, I have the flexibility to actually record my meeting notes or record my information and share it and send it right to my OneDrive or Google Drive, respectively, depending on what environment and what you would prefer. Hitting my home button, located nicely here at the bottom, that'll take me right back to my home screen. It's my get out of jail free card. It's my, hey, you know what? Let's go back to here. Let's jump into something else as we're moving. You have that flexibility. As I did mention before, in that team space, I can run almost like a calendar or an organizer, to where I can see, hey, all of the different meetings or conversations I might be having coming up, I can have them preloaded and ready to go for my display. So simply with one touch, I can join a meeting in this space as well. And just as simple as it was before, hit my home button, takes me back here. Keeps it easy, keeps it simple. You guys are going to hear me say that over and over and over again today. And it's because of the foundation of Smart and our interactive displays. We all remember the originals when they had the whiteboard and the projector and you had to touch everything to kind of get yourself resynced and organized. It's not something you got to worry about. These displays are by far the easiest and simplest ones to kind of dive into and go through. And not only do you have access to, of course, the primary functions, or say the primary Microsoft applications or your team spaces, but you also have your built-in operations of the board. I got my whiteboards, I got a browser, I can screen share directly to this display. But first, I'm going to jump into my whiteboard space. It's exactly what you'd expect. I can use 2 fingers to zoom in and zoom out. I have my pen in hand, and I can start writing directly into my whiteboard right from here. But it's not limited to just one member of your team. You can actually have 40 people up writing all simultaneously in this space. As you can see,
that looks like it took
Wow.
skill, Cody. You were able to write with two hands. Are you a righty or a lefty?
this might be the best way I've ever written my name twice at the same time. It could be a little bit of a disaster, but it comes with some, I'm getting used to it slowly over time. Don't worry. The big piece I'll take away from this, though, is that you can have up to 40 members of your team writing, annotating, moving things around all at the same time. If you want to move different elements, if I actually want to select a much larger space and start manipulating and changing things around, I have that flexibility to, if I want to be moving one thing and I want to have more text being added somewhere else, I have that convenience and that ability to where you've seen it. I haven't hit any extra settings. I haven't had to tweak anything as I'm going through. I haven't had to do any deceptive, hey, look over here while I hit something over here to make life easier for you. The displays are just that simple to where
so what do you do when the meeting's done and now you want to save this stuff? Like what are people doing?
It's a great question. I got a couple options. I can save everything, of course, as a PDF directly into my display. I can save it as a copy if it's something I want to jump into a little later. Or I hit this more option that populates here at the bottom, and I can actually send it to my Teams groups as well. So you have that flexibility to not trap yourself necessarily to my display from here, but I can also send it right to my Teams chat or jump it into an element that I might already be working through and exploring from there as well. So
Nice.
You have some flexibility. The other piece I will mention absolutely is I got this little icon over here that almost looks like two different people. If I tap that, you'll notice what fills my screen. It's a share with option. So not only, and I'll grab my phone here, don't worry, but not only do I have access to just to see the display as it now populates on my handheld device, whether you want to scan the QR code, go to sharewith.me, type in that code associated, I can now turn it on so everyone can edit. And if I actually zoom out, and I apologize for my writing, it's on a much smaller device, but I can actually write into this display and into this whiteboard in that remote setting as well. So whether you are located here in Calgary, Alberta, Canada with me, whether you are based in New Jersey, whether you are based in Denver, Colorado, you have that freedom and function to be able to write, work, and really collaborate together and to this display as you see fit and at the convenience as you're going through. Of course, there's some built-in functionalities as well for this option. I got a little plus button right here to where if I want to add different graphic organizers, different information and content, I have that freedom as well. One of my most popular ones, honestly, tends to be the weekly calendar. I was working with a development contractor that was trying to set up and plan really the next, say, 2-3 weeks of jobs that they had going through, whether they were organizing what products or what equipment was being used for that respective job. That is something that's really, really simple from this display because he wanted to be able to go on his phone, type in sharewith.me, open up this smartboard whiteboard and actually see, hey, who's added something, who's changing something, where do we have that flexibility from here? And that's all at the click of a button. Whether you're using a phone, a tablet, a PC, a Mac, you have that flexibility with this display and even in that whiteboard space to make your life that much simpler as well.
So that's so cool. So you're saying that like if you guys are in the room, in the conference room, and I happen to be at an appointment in Connecticut, I'm sitting in the Uber in the back, I just go on my iPad, I put the code in, I could see everything that you're whiteboarding, and I could also like erase something, write something. That's very cool, actually.
Absolutely.
What if you connected to it from a non-touch device?
So if you're going from a non-touch device, you do have the option to add text as well. So I use it off an iPhone, so that's why I have my writing functionality. But there's an A button about 2 options below where my writing utensil was on my cell phone. And that would actually let me be able to type in my responses instead. So if you're on a non-touch device, you're still more than welcome to explore that as well.
Awesome.
Wonderful. I love it. From here, I'll hit my home button. That's what's, again, located nice and simply, takes me right back to here. I mentioned earlier that you have the ability on these displays to screen share as well. You'll notice what just populated behind me. There's a couple options for you. I have AirPlay, I got Google Cast, I have Mirrorcast as an option as well. And last but certainly not least, I have what we call Smart Mirror. So Smart Mirror allows you to have that flexibility to whether it's app-based Or if you're going off a browser, so you can type in the link here, you can actually share your screen and your content to this display, even if you're not on the same Wi-Fi network. Benefits of that, especially if you're in a higher security or a different element where you have two different Wi-Fi networks, one for, say, the main office staff and some for some guests that might be coming in for that space or that flexibility, they can still be able to share their content to this display as well. So you can see I'm actually already queued up in this space, so I can simply touch to start broadcasting from my handheld device. This is where I'll be able to broadcast not only any content or information that might be on my phone, from pictures to files or in PDFs this way, but I could also invite people to cast or to broadcast from here as well, where I can invite someone to present, or I can have them where I can remove them and disconnect them if they're, say, from a previous content or previous information. Another major piece.
Oh my God, you kidding? I don't know how many times I've had to answer this question in a conference room. Hey, someone wants to connect to the screen. How many times have we answered that question, Jeff?
So painful. Do you need to be in the same building for this function?
You don't. If I was on a Teams call, for example, and I could have it go off my phone, type in the code I have right here, and I could share my screen to this display remotely. That can be, of course, from a security perspective, you're like, hey, we want to keep it in-house. We want to keep it here. Not to worry. If I simply go, hey, I'd like to start a new session, I can disconnect those that were connected in the past. I get a brand new code associated to it so that I know, and I have the confidence and the comfortability to know, okay, I don't have to worry about those that may be outside the office that are presenting. I can keep it within the team, whether they are in office or if they are remote.
Very cool.
This awesome. Share your screen solves so many problems we see. It's just constant. Oh, we're going to have a wire. It's going to be 10 feet and it's going to be sitting on the table. Oh, no, this is so much better.
Don't get too carried away. I still get to jump into that connected PC experience. So we can't start waving the flag quite yet. With all that being said, there is, of course, the browser I mentioned earlier, the files applications, or the apps that might be more relevant to what you're looking for. It is an Android 11 operating system, so you are able to sideload any of the Google Play apps that you might be looking for these devices as well. But in all honesty, what I find is most common, especially within this display, is the fact that I can have HDMI connections, I have USB-C connections, I have VGA connections, all at the easy access of my display. As you can see, I got one of my own PCs connected to the smartboard right now. And it's not that you have to keep reaching behind, almost like a standard television, to actually plug in and start trying to interact and work with this display. I got my display actually on one of the stands right now, so I'm able to roll around and move it. You'll notice I got these little lights that are popping up here. That's my conveniency panel. I have access to both an HDMI, a USB-C, and a USB to a USB type A connection, all right there, as well as the major components here on the side behind. I like it for the fact that I don't have to try to reach behind my display anymore to try to connect or plug in a device. I can keep it as simple and as easy as, right from the side, plug it in, or control my power from my display. I have that freedom and I have that flexibility from here as well.
Love that.
What's the USB for, Cody?
So a USB would be if you're connecting via an HDMI cable. If you want to have that full touch functionality as well, that's where you'd have that USB to a USB Type A connection. The benefit of that is HDMI is able to transmit both your audio and your visual, but it doesn't have the capability or capacity to transmit the touch function both directions. Mm-hmm. But the USB-C cable can do it all in one. I like the USB-C because it keeps your life really simple, because it's one cable to really trounce them all, so to speak. That's the lingo you always get told for it. The QX does ship with a USB-C cable, so you do have that included from here. So if you want to have your MacBook or your Windows device, walk up, put it beside, plug it in, and now your entire smartboard can become your full Windows experience. I've touched it, so it actually activates. So you'll see I'm running, again, that traditional Windows environment. Nothing's too crazy, keeps it nice and easy. I don't have to go through a bunch of extra steps to connect. I don't have to go through a bunch of settings, and I don't have to play the classic game of, hey, which HDMI am I connected to, or what am I actually plugged into? You can keep it really simple, especially with a preloaded image.
You don't like that game?
At this point in my life, I'm kind of past it. I've helped my grandparents with enough IT questions to know. I don't know if I can make my life a little easier. I think I'm going to take it.
I mean, this is an important one, guys, because not everyone, while the Android app store experience, right? Some people just want to use their own computer. People like Mac, people like Windows, people like whatever they like. So you could use a computer. Some things we do is we mount a micro form factor computer behind the smartboard with a wireless mouse and keyboard in the room. Other things we do is we have a wireless device called a click share, where if people want to use their laptops in the office, random people they don't want to log into the computer in the conference room. They just want to grab their laptop from the desk, bring it over. That's another thing that we see a lot of. So all their apps are already logged in, Teams, blah, 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 OneDrive, OneNote, whatever it may be. So this is an important one. And I think there was also some features that you told us about that can only be done with the HDMI versus the non-HDMI. Do we want to get into that?
Absolutely. So, and what I'll speak on that, it's more of the physical
HDMI,
connection
right?
versus
Physical connections.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. So what makes Smart unique? Because I'm not gonna lie to you. I know there's lots of competition, especially in the interactive space. I didn't learn that honestly until I jumped into the industry and discovered just how competitive it is. So what makes Smart unique? Smart has what we call Smart Ink. Smart Ink gives me the ability to actually start writing and annotating and working within all 43 Microsoft applications. So whether you're jumping into Word, Excel, PowerPoint, OneNote, I have the flexibility with Smart Ink to not only just write with those applications, but actually write into those applications as well. So I can actually launch my PowerPoint that I got right behind me. You'll notice, wow, Cody, that's so convenient and similar to the previous one. You're right. I only tweaked it slightly to work in the previous version. But I have the ability, very similar as I could before, to grab my notes, to have my marks as I'm working in this space from here, continue to toggle through my presentation, say, oh, you know what? Those are from before. I don't actually need those. So let me grab my eraser and get rid of those just at the simple touch. Use my hand to continue to navigate me through. And I can have both hands or both pens in hand. No, I was right the first time, where I can actually write simultaneously into those applications.
That was a good one.
Hey, I'm getting better. What can I say? You should have saw if you guys saw the first time I would have done it. Ooh, it was a disaster. This is something that's unique to Smart. If you wanted to grab a pen and start working and writing with multiple members of your team, I haven't hit any buttons. I haven't tweaked any settings. That's how simple and how easy this is to go when it comes to this display and when it comes to working in this space. The big question I get asked, and I'll steal this one because I know if you're not asking it, I know you're thinking it. Is there a cost associated? What am I going to pay to have access to Smart Ink? Don't worry, it's 100% free. It's on our website right now. I'd highly recommend it, especially if you're looking at these displays. But what I will say is it's exclusive to Smart. It does not work on any of our competitor panels. It only works in that Smart space. Gives you the easy, simple, best experience for the adoption and the understanding of what you're actually working with. And what I love even more,
that's some software you can load on your computer.
It can be installed directly on your PC, Mac, or Linux device.
Okay, cool.
Awesome. I will take a moment actually. Now might be a decent time. Is there any questions or anything along the lines that I can kind of help answer as we're going?
Yeah, if you guys have any questions, please post it over here or join us. Alex, can you put that link over here so people can join if need be? But we could keep going. So it embeds those notations into the Office applications. How many applications can you use other than Microsoft? Any like Adobe and stuff?
So if you want to jump into the Adobe space or a PDF viewer, you're more than welcome to do that. I have a colleague that was actually working within the Bluebeam space not too long ago. He actually showed me a video of that. I had a colleague of mine, his name is Rick. He was at a federal government show and they had someone with AutoCAD on their laptop, and he walked up without any sort of software, anything besides AutoCAD, plugged it in, and he actually pulled up not only a PDF, but a 3D model and started working and maneuvering it around and being able to really jump into that right from his PC onto a smartboard. He didn't have to go through any sort of lengthy downloads or lengthy kind of get quick, like your quick start guide, so to speak. He was able to build something out, or being able to plug in and really just play. It's the plug and play method. Keeps it easy, keeps it simple. It's the best way to go. I got a PDF here behind me. This is a modular building, and I, just like I could before, I have the flexibility to say, hey, you know what? We're actually going to put a wall here. We're going to cut this open.
A lot, right? Where would you say these things come in handy? I can tell you what we see across our client base: clients that design things, product design. We have a lot of wholesale and distribution clients who do a lot of manufacturing and importing. So they're making clothes and they're making accessories and they're making things. And, you know, they get together with their design team in the room and they start saying, hey, let's make this yellow. Let's do this. Let's do that. And then also architectural and design, like more like physical spaces and stuff like that. Where else do you see it a lot and useful?
You really hit it on the head. Architecture, engineering, whether you're working with their construction spaces. I've been working a lot with your blue light, your emergency responders, whether it's fire, police, some of the medical spaces using it. I got a great story I'll tell actually at the end of this about a customer I was working with that led me honestly down a little bit of a rabbit hole I didn't expect to jump into. With where I've seen it be the most successful easily is that architecture, engineering, construction space, no questions. And honestly, in the law department, I've had a number of different law firms that I've worked with on the West Coast that they had these displays in, because when they're first working with their clients, as they're breaking down, here's kind of the information, here's the knowledge of what we're going through, or here are the forms we got to have to fill out that we're doing. They actually pull them up on a smart board so that's easy access, it's quick access, so that you know, okay, this is what I'm reading, this is what we're talking about, let's have those notes and those content about what you're going through. That is a terrible S. That's okay. That you're going through, to have that comfortability and that confidence to know I'm making a good choice, that I'm moving forward with X representative or B representative or Y representative, et cetera, et cetera. That's where I've seen a lot of success with these displays. And I know, in all honesty, so will you guys. With that, and you'll notice this as I've been going through different applications, my notes are still very much living exactly where I expect them to be. When I was in my PDF, whether I'm moving around, whether I'm zooming in and out, everything is scaling and growing as to be expected. That's the beauty of Smart Ink and the simplicity of Smart and our smart boards, is that we don't trap you to a single device. It's not going to trap you and say, hey, finish this one window, or take a screenshot of this, or hey, we got to work and finish this before you can move on to something else. Smart gives you the flexibility to jump between as many applications or as many devices as you, or sorry, as many screens or activities that you may want to in the time or at the moment.
If I close that PDF and then open it again, will those notes still be there?
They absolutely will. So the very first question I'm going to get asked if I try to close this is, hey, do you want to save these files? If I say yes, the next time I open it, they're going to be right there waiting for me. If I say no, they're going to be removed and I have a blank PDF. The best way I like to do it is I go File, Save As. I have a one with edits and a one without edits. I've tried to say edited and unedited so many times, I've discovered that's not the right way to explain it. But it's the beauty of it to know, if I say, hey, no, I don't need it, it's going to close. Exact same workflow and exact same system you're already used to. If I jump into that that PowerPoint, same exact system. I'm going to go to close it. Microsoft even knows, oh, we know what's been written and we know what's been worked on. If I say, you know what? Yes, I would like to have these saves. I'd like to have these marks for the future. That still gives me the freedom to know if I want to jump back into one of these or jump back into these applications, I can have that from a function or a use case to know I don't have to worry about what I'm going to expect and see, or what I'm going to send as an email, because that content and that information, add it to your emails, add it to your Teams chat. You'll see I've just reopened up this PowerPoint that I worked on before. It's got my notes, it's got my marks, it's gotten rid of the stuff I wrote the first time that I erased. It's that simple and it's that intuitive. There's not this massive learning curve. I understand it. I know that the biggest question I get asked, or the biggest pushback that often comes with these displays is, I don't want to have to learn it all. I don't want to have to try to figure out, how do I do it? You don't. As simple as it is, you pick up a pen and you start writing. It's that simple. It's that intuitive. This display will do the most amount of things with the least amount of steps and the least amount of heartache to make your life that much better.
That PowerPoint that you saved, right? You were able to save it and pull it back up again. It saved it as a PowerPoint file, right?
Absolutely.
So if I open that on another computer, who knows where, your stuff will be on it?
Yes, sir.
Do you need to open it in a certain way to say to use Smart Ink, or it's automatic?
It's automatic with the display. So I have this little orb, and you may have seen it floating around a little bit as I'm going through. That is our Smart Ink controller, to where as I pick up a pen, you'll notice it actually changes what it's going through. If I want to pick a specific color, or for example, activate a highlighter, I have that flexibility. If I want to go through the color wheel and pick, I want this specific shade of magenta, you're more than welcome to do that as well. But
Very
it
cool.
has the convenience to know, oh, I don't need it in my way here. Let's move it over there and have more text and content and what you're working with in that space.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Love to hear it. Not only though is it the Microsoft and that those Adobe spaces or the Bluebeam spaces that we're able to kind of work and maneuver. If I open up a Google space here as well, I can actually jump into, as a person, as an individual, grab my pen in hand, and I can still have my notes. I can jump into the next break as well. And you know what? I'll pull up a map of Calgary. Calgary is most likely, or probably is most famous for one of two different elements. Element A is that we are famous for the Calgary Stampede. If you're big into stampedes, you would love it. It happens, I think, in about a month or so, if I'm remembering correctly. Or option B, we're about an hour and a half away from the mountains, specifically the Rocky Mountains. I would highly recommend, if you've never seen the Rocky Mountains, they're a beautiful thing to see. They're a magnificent, honestly, to a nature drive as the roads weave through it. Or if you want to drive from Vancouver to Calgary, which you might think is a long ways, and you would absolutely be right, because Vancouver takes you here, Calgary's right about here. You are spanning the entire state of Washington and most of Montana through this section. But you'll notice I'm able to write and work in this element. And I haven't lost what I wrote previously. I haven't lost what may be in that PowerPoint as well, as I open up a slide without it. Classic. But I have those notes, have those annotations. And all of that can be saved. I got a little icon on my left. It sits nicely in the corner. With one touch, I can either capture all of this as ink itself, or I'm able to take only a snippet or a chunk of what I'm working with and dive in from there. You may ask, Cody, well, where is that going to go? You have the option. If I choose to capture all of my ink, that's where I can actually send it to where I'd like to. It's not the classic, hey, let me just Control Alt and have the snippet and be like, where is it gone? I don't know, because it doesn't go into my screenshots. And so making your life that much simpler, say, hey, I'd like to send it to the clip art. I want to send it to a specific location on my desktop. I want to send it to just the desktop itself, or I can save it as a notebook file. I can also send it to Smart Meeting Pro. And you may ask, Cody, what is Smart Meeting Pro? You haven't spoken on this yet. Don't worry, just about to jump into it. I think my favorite part of the job, or my job that I get to do now, is I can ask myself all sorts of questions without expecting any sort of answer. And I love it. With the ability to have Smart Meeting Pro, I have an infinite whiteboarding canvas directly on my smartboard and directly in my PC. So whether you're when you're on that Windows device, you have the option to have it connected, or in your guys' case, if you have a Windows device that's nicely tucked behind the display, you have an infinite whiteboarding canvas that you can not only just have that writing and to be able to work in this space, I can go insert, you know what, let's insert a document. Let's insert an image. Go right to my desktop. Oh, as I scroll back up to my, inconvenient. I've moved all of my folders around. That's okay, because I don't have to worry about, say, those desktop or those specific full applications that are on that portion of it, because just as fast as I opened it, I can also close it just as quickly and jump back into this the Google space that I already had opened. And you know what? I'm going to capture, and I'm going to have a rectangular capture of what I'm looking for and what I've actually been looking at on my PC right at the touch of my fingers. The screen will have gone a slightly different shade, and I can actually select and start to drag, and it's capturing everything I've just selected directly into my whiteboard. So if I jump back into my whiteboard space, you'll notice my notes are still there. I can use my two fingers to manipulate, touch, and I can lock this in place. I can flip it. I can, if I want to get rid of something, I can of course remove it, but now I can zoom in and get even more detailed about the fact that right up here is what's known as Roger's Pass. I have the ability to change my pen if I need to, and I'm going to make it a little bit bigger, and I'll make it blue, because who doesn't love a blue pen as you're going through? But that's a major pass. Down over here, I believe if I'm remembering correctly, it should be roughly here. This is going to be Kamloops. It's famous for its massive lakes that it has there. So often water skiing, jet skis, wake surfing, that sort of experience. But you have it right at your fingertips. And all of this in notes, all of this, everything I'm working on, everything I have here from my notes to my content.
What kind of file does it save it as?
You jumped my gun, Jen. I was just about to get there. Come on. You have a lot of options. If I go File, Save As, I can save this not only as a meeting profile, I can save it as a PDF, I can save it as a PowerPoint, and I can save it as an image file. If you're giving a PowerPoint, if you've got multiple pages, makes your life really simple. If you're going to go as a PDF, having that as a firm copy. But of course, because I can open it as a meeting profile, that also gives you access to where, hey, let's open it on your laptop at the office next week. Let's open it while we're at a job site with a customer. You still have that flexibility. And with the purchase of a QX, Meeting Pro is actually included for not just one room license, but you'll have one room and 10 personal licenses to go on you and your colleagues' laptops or their own personal devices that you're going from there. And all of those are perpetual. So I mentioned earlier, that software was free when it comes to SmartX, and it absolutely is. And with the purchase of a QX, with the purchase of that QX display, that Meeting Pro software being perpetual is fully included in there. So it's not something you have to worry about. It's not something 2 years, 3 years, 4 years down the line where you're like, oh, now I got to go through this and all these hoops. Don't worry about it. It's super simple, and it keeps it easy for you to prevent you from having that headache that you honestly, if you look anywhere else, will often occur as you're going through. And just as easy as I was when I jumped into this, one touch takes it right back away. Lets me jump back into anything that I was working on before, from those original notes that we started with to the PowerPoint that is edited and ready to go to send it off to whatever team or managers or groups that we'd like to work with from here.
That's great.
So
awesome. Well, this was awesome. A couple things that I would like to mention. If anyone has any questions, feel free to click the link and jump on, or just drop it in the chat. But so the higher end device you have is kind of like all in one. You got the camera, mics, the speakers. A lot of installations we do, they have sort of like Logitech equipment, and now they have cool stuff like the Logitech scheduler, which is a scheduler that goes on the wall outside the room, and the Logitech tap, which is in the middle of the table so that you could join a meeting easily without using a computer. So you could buy those other ones that don't have the cameras built in and put your own gear and trick out your room however you want to trick it out with whatever hardware you want, and then just use the smart technology displays without the extra stuff, right?
Absolutely. The MX here, so I pulled this up within this space. We've actually tested this with the, oh my goodness, Logitech Rally Bar and in those Logitech systems to be that effective, to be able to and be confident with that decision where, hey, I absolutely understand. You're like, we like this ecosystem, it works well, but we want a little bit more out of it. It's a great option for you. The MX, because it integrates so beautifully into that space, it's an easy one to almost plug in and play for your already existing audio equipment in that space. One thing I will mention actually is even with that Logitech systems, the integrated microphone is actually chosen over that Logitech one just because of the quality that you're going through. And that's a decision made by that Logitech device to pick the best microphone for its option. So a lot of confidence and really unique with this display to know that, hey, what you're getting is a great piece of hardware. Often, I've had some conversations with customers where they purchased one back in 2013, 2014, 2011. And they're like, it's great. I just need another one. Awesome. No problem. And they'll be like, I just like this. And they'll take a picture and they'll send one to me. And I'm like, man, this display is almost as old as I am. That's wild. But I'm not 12, I swear. But that's the confidence you have in these products to know it's built to last. They're built for 50,000 hours to where if it's on 8 hours a day, you're looking at 10 years, give or take, in that sort of an environment. In reality, they do have sensors on them, so they will shut off after inactivity to help even prolong that life. We are the only interactive display company that still supports our panels that are from 2015. No one else can say that. We have little modules that can go in to help bring you up to speed. We are still able to support from a functions and ability side. You are looking at something that is quality and that is really tested for life. I know I have confidence that if I want to smack my display, and
That
run
was
through
good,
my
man.
display.
God.
I hope we got the thump in there. If we got the thump, it makes it even better.
So you're saying it's good stuff?
Oh, absolutely. There's nothing better that I would pick over it. I can hit wherever I'd like. It's built to go through the abuse of daily life. I was working with another customer up in northern Alberta, and their first question is, well, some of our employees might be a little rougher around the edges. And I'm like, elaborate, what do we mean? Well, what if someone like hits the board or like throws something at the board? I understand where we're going with this. It's got H9 hardened glass. It's built for the durability to last that test and to really dive into that even farther than maybe expected.
Well, this was great. Very
Wow.
informative. Yeah, Cody is a great resource for us. We're happy to have formed a partnership with him recently. We're having good success. The clients love it. We want to see more of this happen just because it's just, like you said, it's good stuff. It's not as good as Aunt Jemima in the morning, but it's really, really good. Yeah, I think.
Wait, I have a question though. Is there, you said there was a couple of things that came through. Is there any sort of software I need to buy with this?
With everything that I've shown you today, everything is included for you. So there's nothing to worry about that way for your purchasing and for your wallet that you're going through that way. It keeps your life nice and simple. It keeps it nice and easy for you. On our education side, of course, we do have some of our education software that's online that does have subscription models, but everything that you've seen here today, everything that I've been doing this way, nice and simple, keeps it easy.
Gotcha. Yeah. If I have a big conference room, as in a long conference room,
yep.
Microphones?
On the display, it does have, so it's got an HDMI out. So if you want to have two of these displays next to each other or be an extension of one, you're more than welcome to do that. I was working with a university not too long ago that they put one of these at the front and they had two TVs that were flanking on either side. And they just ran the HDMI out through a splitter and had that projection even in that larger space there. The audio or the microphone built for this display is set to go about 30 feet. So almost like a traditional training room sort of experience that way, or almost a longer conference room. So you know what you're looking for that way or looking like that way. The other piece I will mention though, is it does have the ability of your Bluetooth connection. So if you want to connect a Bluetooth device to this display, you are more than welcome to, whether it's Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, or Ethernet, you'll have that full capability there as well.
Awesome.
Last, but certainly not least, and I probably should have jumped in this a little sooner, but Smart has the ability, and we are actually certified within the Crestron environment. So where if you are working in that Crestron space or have the Crestron room system set up, these displays can actually merge into that room very, very easily to where whether it's the Ethernet plugin or just adding this display to that Crestron cloud account to where you can manage if you want to turn them off, turn them on, control your volumes, control your input of what's being shown, all from a central IT space. That is something you are more than welcome to. And we are actually the first interactive displays in the space to have that certification. So you're jumping on and working with a team that is always really progressing to improve, whether it's our relationships or within the group or within the partnerships that Smart is making, such as RCS here today.
That's awesome. Yeah. So
what if I wanted to connect another video device like an Apple TV? Can I do that?
You absolutely can. So that's where I would jump back to my inputs and my connection side, where I have one of my colleagues, he has one of these displays at his home. He actually has his DVD as well as his, oh my goodness, I'm forgetting, his cable box actually connected to his smart board. If you want to connect an Apple device such as the, oh my goodness, I'm forgetting what the name of it. Yes, the Apple TV, of course. If you want to connect one of those Apple TVs or a Roku device, for example, you have that freedom or convenience as well. So it's not going to limit you to a single option or a single decision or a single device. You have that kind of freedom of use and freedom of movement to say, hey, you know what? I want to go with this product and this option. I want to go here and here. You're more than welcome to, because Smart's able to we're able to work with you and work in tandem with you to give you the best experience.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Wonderful.
Yes. It really is. Every time I see this, I think it's such a great product. It really is. Like, it's so easy to use.
And it's
great.
And they're a great partner. To my knowledge, Smart Technologies works through partners like us. So if you are interested in learning more, we could certainly set up a presentation, come to your office, and talk more about the functions, capabilities, features, and how it could help your business. I think we kind of covered almost everything, right, Cody?
That was everything that I planned on going through. I'm happy to tag along as long as you like. I know we only asked for an hour, so I wanted to be as respectful to your guys' times as possible. So that's everything I was hoping to cover today.
Okay, Norman.
Yeah, when are we going to Canada?
Oh yeah, I mean we're Ranger fans. I think both of us are, and Atlanta. The Calgary Flames were originally from Atlanta, so we also have an office there. So I don't know. Could we hang out with Cody, or is it not okay? I don't know. Maybe.
You absolutely could. If you guys ever make your way to Calgary, let me know. I'll take you out for a lunch. It'll be a great time.
Okay, awesome. Thanks so much. We have some upcoming webinars and events coming up. We have a social in person in Marietta, Georgia. That's on June 12th. We have our Women in Business.
Yeah, in person.
Yeah,
yes, in Marietta. I'm so psyched about this one.
If you're a professional or entrepreneur and you want to network, please come. Morgan's putting that together. You can reach out to her on LinkedIn or just check our website. Women in Business and Women in Tech Business Panel. We're going to bring back Esther Deutsch, who was with us for a very long time and helped us grow. So we're excited about that, along with a bunch of other super duper females in business. We have our fish series, July 11th. For all those fish tech nerds, please join us so we can just talk fish and business, and there will be more to come. So yeah, thanks for jumping on. Thanks for joining, Cody. Thanks so much for your valuable time. We are passionate about this, so we're really super excited that you were able to join us, present, and it was awesome. So I think we got everything, right, Norman?
Yeah.
All right. Thanks so much, guys.
Thank you, guys.